How can you raise your level of consciousness and connect with a deeper spiritual dimension? And if you are here listening to these words, perhaps it is because your heart is seeking exactly that, a different way of seeing life, a peace that transcends circumstances, a truer connection with God. For many people, talking about spiritual awareness seems distant, abstract, or even unreal. They pray every day, they believe in God, they go to services, churches, and spiritual centers, but they don't feel anything different. Life remains burdensome. The problems remain significant. Their hearts remain troubled. And then the sincere question arises, coming from the depths of the soul. What, after all, is this level of consciousness that is so often talked about? Why do some people seem to have a peace that doesn't depend on circumstances? How do they manage to weather storms with serenity? Let me explain. Imagine you're going up in a hot air balloon, or in an airplane. You are on the ground, looking at the immense buildings, the crowded streets, the gigantic city around you. Everything seemed big, overwhelming, imposing. But as you climb slowly, gently, what once seemed enormous begins to look small. The city, the buildings, the streets, the cars, everything is still down below. Nothing has physically changed, but now it's seen from a different perspective. From above, you see the whole picture. You see that what seemed immense is only a small part of something much larger. That is level of consciousness. When we are trapped in a more superficial, lower consciousness, more attached to the material, everything seems bigger than it really is. Pain seems eternal. Losses seem immutable, injustices seem unbearable, problems seem gigantic, impossible to solve. Life is heavy, too heavy, because we're looking at everything too closely. We can only see the problem, the pain, the difficulty. We can't see the purpose, the learning, the greater meaning. We're only looking from a material point of view, completely forgetting our spiritual nature. But when we expand our consciousness, when we begin to rise in that spiritual balloon, something extraordinary happens. Problems continue to exist. Situations don't magically change. The pain is still there, but the way we perceive them changes completely. The same pain that once drove us to despair is now viewed with serenity. The same fear that paralyzed us is now understood as part of the process. The same difficulty that seemed insurmountable is now seen as an opportunity for growth. Nothing has changed outside, but everything has changed inside. And when the inside changes, the experience of a lifetime is transformed. Raising consciousness means understanding the divine laws that govern existence. It means understanding that there is a greater purpose, a loving plan of God, even when we cannot see it clearly. It means vibrating with gratitude even for difficult things. It means cultivating trust even when everything seems uncertain. It means strengthening faith even when answers are slow in coming. It's about escaping that constant state of anxiety that consumes us, that fear that paralyzes us, that excessive attachment to material things that makes us believe that everything depends only on what we see, touch, and possess. Raising consciousness means remembering, not just intellectually, but deeply feeling that we are spiritual beings having a material experience, and not the other way around. We are not bodies that occasionally have spiritual experiences. We are immortal spirits who temporarily inhabit a body to learn, evolve, and love. When we truly connect with the sacred, with God, with the spiritual world that supports and guides us, our consciousness is freed from the weight of the immediate and the transient. That argument that seemed like the end of the world, seen from above, it's just a learning moment about patience. That loss that seemed unbearable, seen from above, it's a painful but necessary transformation. That failure that seemed definitive, seen from above, it's a redirection of life leading you to where you really need to be. We began to look at life with more lightness, not because the problems ceased to exist, but because we understood that they are temporary, that they are opportunities, that they are, as spiritual teachings say, trials and expiations, experiences that strengthen us, that teach us, that transform us into better versions of ourselves. To ascend that balloon of consciousness, what a beautiful image, isn't it? Is to distance ourselves from the fears that hold us back, those small and large fears that prevent us from living fully. Fear of losing, fear of making mistakes, fear of not being loved, fear of not being enough. It's about distancing ourselves from the lack of courage that keeps us stagnant, from the internal limitations we create that then imprison us, from those voices that say, you can't, you don't deserve it, it's too late. When awareness rises, you take smoother steps, not because the challenges have diminished, but because you've learned to walk with more confidence. You trust life more, you trust God more, you trust the process more. And here's something beautiful. You flourish exactly where you were planted. You don't wait for perfect conditions. You don't postpone happiness until everything is resolved. You flourish now, here, in this soil, with this rain, with this sun, with these stones around you. With this, and you'll feel it when it happens. The heart calms down. That constant agitation, that anxiety that won't let you rest, that fear that wakes you up in the middle of the night, all of that will subside. Peace settles in. Not the kind of peace that depends on everything being perfect, but that deep peace that remains even when life is difficult. The peace that comes from knowing you are supported, that you are not alone, that there is a greater meaning, and life begins to flow more serenely. Things start to fall into place. Not necessarily the way you planned, but in a way that makes sense when you look at it from above. With this expanded awareness, it's not easy, I know. Nobody said it would be. Raising awareness requires effort. It requires you to stop blaming the external world for everything. It requires you to take responsibility for how you think, feel, and react. But it's always possible. Always, for those who are willing to open up. For those who are willing to reflect honestly on themselves. For those who are willing to transform their own way of seeing the world. Start today. Start now. Pray, asking God to help you see beyond what your eyes see. Meditate, even if only for a few minutes. Silence the external and internal noise. Seek out readings that elevate your thinking. Practice gratitude daily. Forgive those who have hurt you. Forgive yourself for your mistakes. Each of these acts is like a rope pulling you upward, gently raising your balloon of consciousness. And the higher you climb, the more peace you find. Life makes more sense. God becomes more real and present. If this message touched your heart, subscribe to the Messages from the Soul channel. Share it with someone who needs to hear these words. And participate in our challenge. We are forming a chain of 1,000 hearts. When we reach 1,000 subscribers, this channel will start delivering messages every day at 6 a.m. And may you never forget, you are a spiritual being, eternal, infinitely loved. And every experience here is merely a passage, an opportunity for growth towards the light.